Hi, I'm Scott Flowers with Cloud Ninjas. Today we're here to start a new series on the Dell PowerEdge R430 server. In this video we're going to specifically focus on processors, but in the series as a whole we're going to go over CPUs, memory, hard drive, solid state drive, how to update your BIOS, how to update your iDRAC, how to do mass updates, how to install a Windows operating system, how to install VMware, plus a ton more. So click that like, smash that subscribe, let's get going. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by today to learn a little bit more about the Dell PowerEdge R430 server. As I mentioned, this video is going to be specifically focused on processors, so let's just hop in. There are two CPUs inside the R430 server. It's an LGA2011-3 socket, which means it takes Intel Xeon E5-2600 V3 and V4 series processors. If you're having any trouble getting your V4s to work, just make sure you have an updated BIOS. That would mean you probably have a pretty old system at that point, because most of the BIOS revisions along the way have it set up for the V4, but that has been an issue that we have run into where you get a super old system and you can't get the V4 to work, so just pop in an old V3, update the BIOS, and you'll be good to go. One of the things that's a little bit wonky or strange about the R430 CPUs is the amount of DIMM slots that they cover, and we'll show you that in a minute. The first CPU has 10 DIMM slots, and the second CPU has 6 DIMM slots, as opposed to 8 and 8 split evenly. It's 10 and 6. Now they both do have 6 memory channels, which means that there's 6 memory channels for 10 DIMMs on the first CPU, so that's definitely a really strange configuration, and we'll show you that in a minute, and we definitely highlight that too when we do our memory video as well. And then the second CPU has 6 DIMMs, and they're all their own memory channel. So that's one of the things that I always thought was a little bit strange about the 430, but that is how it was designed. People ask all the time, hey, what CPUs do you recommend for the R430? And really, it depends on your application, right? So if you're doing something that really isn't robust, you can get away with a low-end CPU. If you're looking for a little bit more performance, we have what we like to call our value CPUs. And if you're looking to really get the most that you can out of this, we have a category that we like to call our high-end CPUs. And so it really just kind of depends on what application you have. So let me name a few CPUs that you can check out, but really there's a bunch of great CPUs in the V3, V4 series, so you can go onto our website, onto our server configurator for the R430, and you can drop it down and you can see all the different cores and speeds and just the options as a whole. But for the low end, I recommend 2 CPUs, the E5-2620 V3 and the E5-2630 V3. It's a 6-core and an 8-core proc, and they're both 2.4 gigahertz, so you can toss 2 of them in. They'll be really cheap overall, and you can get 12 to 16 cores, and it's again not going to be too expensive. So on the low end, those are some good CPUs. Now on the value side, there's the E5-2660 V3, the E5-2670 V3, and the E5-2680 V3. Those are going to be 10-core, 12-core, 12-core. It's going to be 2.6, 2.3, 2.5, and all these are great options that are going to still not be really expensive, very budget-friendly, but better performance overall than the low-end CPUs. Now, what I think the real sweet spot is right now is the high-end CPUs going up to the V4, because they're going to be more expensive, sure, but you can put in this machine right now 40 cores, and it's not going to be crazy expensive compared to what a new server would cost, right? The CPUs that I recommend on the high-end side, the E5-2690 V4, the E5-2695 V4, the 97 V4, and the 98 V4. That's going to be a 14-core, 18-core, 18-core, and 20-core, and we'll throw up all the speeds right now as well. And all these are just great CPUs on the high-end side that they're going to, again, be more expensive, but they're not that crazy expensive right now as a whole. They're still very, very budget-friendly. Again, those will just be some great machines overall, so that's what I recommend on the high-end side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually physically install them. We're going to remove our old CPU, show you how to upgrade a new CPU. Before we do, I'm going to grab my ESD gear and be right back. All right, I have my ESD gear on. We are safe to work inside our machine. So I laid out everything that we're going to need for this upgrade. So all you're going to need is a Phillips head screwdriver, which you'll need to remove your heatsink and then reinstall it. I have a rag here, a nice clean rag, to clean the thermal paste if it is too messy. Sometimes it'll just get a little bit all over the place, where you need to just make sure you're cleaning up the bracket that actually holds the CPU down, because if it's got too much old thermal paste, it could potentially cake off. You just don't want it to get into your CPU pins. That's what I'm really trying to prevent. And then new thermal paste or thermal grease to install or to put onto our CPU. And then we have the CPUs that we're upgrading to. This is an E5-2698 V4, one of the ones we recommend. So let's just go ahead and hop in. So we'll toss everything to the side, and we're going to go ahead and pop our latch and open our server like any server we've really been in before. So one of the things I want to point out is that there is an air baffle that we will need to remove. The air baffle is going to note that this is CPU 1 and this is CPU 2, and this is kind of a wonky configuration when you look at it as a whole. Let me show you real quick. When I take the air baffle off, the CPU to memory DIMM slot count's a little strange. So on CPU 1 there's 8 memory modules, on CPU 2 there's 4 memory modules, which is a little bit strange. Both of them do have 4 memory channels. It just happens to be up here on CPU 1 there's 2 DIMMs per channel, and back here on CPU 2 there's only 1 DIMM per channel. So again, it's kind of just a strange wonky configuration as a whole, but nonetheless we'll show you step-by-step instructions right now on how to remove your old CPU and to replace it with a new CPU. So again, all you're going to use your Phillips head screwdriver. I like to do kind of a zigzag pattern, so I'll start right here, then I'll come across and I'll just work my way around. And I like to use a manual screwdriver personally, just can get a better feel for it as it's coming off of the motherboard as far as the screw coming up. You can use an electric one, but you know, it's faster, and sometimes we have to do that because we have so many servers we need to process, but I'm a big fan of just the manual one personally. You can feel it coming up, really. You can see it too, for that matter. And this is another thing I noticed with the 430s. The heat sinks are on there really tight. They pop up. Same with the latches on the CPUs. They're definitely a really tight configuration. All right, so the other thing I want to note, when I take this off, I like to just flip it over right away in case there is any old thermal paste on there. I don't want it flaking off, so as soon as I lift it up, I pretty much just flip it over right away, and then I'll clean it off screen before I install it, because you do need to put your heatsink back on, of course, and you don't want the old thermal paste on there, so we'll get that all cleaned off before we reinstall it. So we're just going to lift this straight up and then flip it over, and so you can see there's a bunch of old thermal paste. It's not too bad. It looks like it's in a very controlled environment, so that's easy. So we'll just clean it off screen, and then we will remove our old CPU. All right, so in order to remove this, there's a couple of steps here, and really it's not that bad. You have 2 latches that you are going to need to push down and in, so we'll do this one first, push down and in. Now this one, we're going to push it down and in, and when this pops up, you'll notice right here, this is going to actually open or free this up. So if you push this back down, it'll come up, and you can lift this up, and now you have access to the actual CPU. So the next thing I'm going to note is when you pull your CPU up, I like to grab it on the edges right here as opposed to right here. There's just a little bit more space for your fingers to get in. Now this bar right here can be a little bit of a pain, but that's how I personally like to get it. And then when you lift it up, make sure you just pull it straight up. You don't want to drag it a little bit, because the corner right here can just wipe out a row of pins, and it's really easy to do, so just make sure you just lift it straight up. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you right now how to do that. Just grab it and straight up. Okay, so I have a tray over here that we're just going to toss this into. So that's the nice thing about having the tray and having the empty slots. You can just toss it in there. And now I need to clean this off, so I will do that real quick off screen. And definitely the old thermal paste sometimes is really caked on there, so having to use a little elbow grease on this one. Okay, so that is good enough for right now. I would normally actually use a little spray to just make it a little bit better, but you can see it's much better as a whole. So we'll go ahead and toss this to the side, and you'll see all the nasty thermal paste that came off of it. So, all right, now the next thing that is of importance here is we need to put in our new CPU. And which way do we line it up, right? How do I install it? Well, what you want to look for is right here, there is a gold triangle. This triangle lines up with a white triangle that's right here on your motherboard, so that lets you know that this would be the proper way to install it. So again, I like to hold it on the sides right here, come straight down, and you're in. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually put this back down. So this will come down, this will go over, just make sure that that covers over it, and then you're going to push this down and then push it in. It'll lock back into place. Same thing here, we're going to push this down and in, and it'll lock back into place. Now we're going to get our wonderful messy thermal paste out, and we use the big tubes just because we use so much of the stuff. So we're just going to put, you don't really need to put a ton in there, just a little bit right in the middle. Some people like to use the little plastic piece and spread it around, which is fine too. What I like to do personally is I will just take the the clean heat sink, put it back down, and it'll kind of smush it together and just spread it perfectly and evenly around. So that is what we are going to do right now, is go ahead and reinstall our heatsink. So let's just line everything up nice and easy. Make sure your screws are in the holes. And then again, I like to do the same kind of zigzag pattern. I'll start over here. And because these heat sinks are, as I said from the beginning, very tight, you do have to push kind of hard on this, which is I'm not a fan of, because I like to be very gentle with all of my electronics, but you do have to kind of push this hard to make sure it actually gets into the hole. So if you're at home and you're wondering why you can't get the heatsink back on, you probably just need to push a little bit harder. And it's not like that with a lot of the 13th gen Dell, like the 630s and the 730s and 730XDs. We build those on a daily basis, and I do not really see that with the heat sinks, but for whatever reason, the 430s, they do just require a little bit of extra pressure. So just like that, we have upgraded our old CPU, which was just a hex core E5-2600 V3, and we've put in an E5-2698 V4. It's going to be a huge boost in performance. I'm going to install another one back here and add a little bit of extra RAM, and this is going to be a great boost overall for our machine and for our R430. So if you made it this far, hey, click that like, smash that subscribe, and if you're looking for any CPU upgrades or even custom built servers, we build Dell, HPE, Supermicro, IBM, Cisco. We do new, we do used, we do spare parts. We like to be a full service supplier. If you need operating systems, VMware, whatever you need, we are here to help you out. We'd love the opportunity to earn your data center or your home labs business. Please email us at sales@cloudengines.com. That's sales@cloudengines.com. And thanks for stopping by, guys. Take care.